from the Minnesota Vikings, Adam Thielen, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am doing well. How's that leg of yours doing?
It's doing good. It was nice to get back out there with my teammates and playing ball again. So excited to, it was nice, obviously, to get that game under my belt and, knock some of the rust off and get back to playing ball.
Okay, I don't know if you're aware, you weren't just playing for the Minnesota Vikings. You were playing for a team called Badonkadonk 00, which is the team that my kids and I draft in fantasy, and you were the star wide receiver of that team, Adam. Were you realizing that weight on your shoulders all season long?
That's probably not good. You probably don't like me very much right now. I'm getting a little bit of heat from my fantasy owners.
You know what, Adam? Your fantasy owners are a guy like me, where I'm even keel, 11, 8, and 6-year-olds. So,
yeah.
And again, I don't know if you heard that part of the name is Badonkadonk. So
yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
It's not that intense, but I imagine it has been, a word that has been associated with you quite a bit from beginning to end. Frustrated. I want to touch a little bit on that word with you in this season. Are you frustrated about what your season has been for you personally, Adam?
I can honestly say no. There was definitely moments of frustration, but for me, my focus was to not get frustrated and to support my teammates and come to work every day and try to do whatever I could to get back on the field and to help them out. So for me, honestly, you can ask my wife, who's around me every single day.
Yes.
I really didn't get frustrated, and obviously it helps that your team is winning without you. So that keeps away from some frustration, but. It definitely was an interesting process, and definitely have learned a lot from that process. So there's a lot of positives I can take from it, and I'm back playing again. So it's all good.
It is all good. And then the way that the season began, you and Diggs made some public comments that many in the media, including me, nationally, read into some serious issues within your offensive house. You were the first one. Diggs came and, I guess, tripled down. A week later, things have vastly improved. That said, do you think things would have vastly improved if you and Diggs had not said something like you did earlier on in the season?
I think they would have, because I know the coaches we have in this building, and the players we have in this room as an offense. So it was nothing that they didn't know, and it was very, like you said, a lot of people read into it more than it was. It was as simple as it was said. You can't win football games by being one-dimensional, and every offense in the NFL will tell you that. So, like I said, it was probably read into more than it really meant to be. It was as simple as that. Is you have to be able to throw the ball, you have to be able to run the ball to win in this league. When you look at teams that have won Super Bowls or made a deep run in the playoffs, they can do both. They aren't just one-dimensional.
Well,
so,
at the time you were mentioning how you're not going to be able to run the ball for 180 yards, even with the best running back in the NFL. It's kind of like you basically saying, hey, I'm open. Were you open at the time?
It's actually funny you said, because, I go back and look at that Packer game from early in the season, now that we're playing the Packers again. And,
yes.
There was times where I could have done my job better, and there's times where, you get open and don't get the ball. But that's part of football. You look at any, 60 minutes of any football game, there's going to be times where a receiver's getting open, not getting the ball. That's just part of the deal. And a lot of times, sometimes you're not even part of the progression, and you're getting open. So you're not going to get the ball regardless. So, it's just one of those things that, as a receiver, it's tough. As a competitor, you want the ball and things like that, but you got to understand the big picture of things and the grand scheme of things.
No, I know it's all a journey. Adam Thielen here on the Rich Eisen Show. It is all a journey. I mean, a football season is a journey, and there's a lot of downs, and a lot of, if you're fortunate, ups as well. All that said, before we do get to the here and now, after you said what you said and Diggs said what he said, Kirk Cousins publicly apologized. What did you think of when you heard that at the time?
Yeah, that's just the type of guy he is. He's going to take ownership, even sometimes when it's not his fault. And he's just a really good person and a great teammate and a great leader. And he's going to do the overly nice things sometimes. And it was another one of those things that just gets overblown. People read into it, things like that. But it is what it is. And ever since that, he's been balling out. So, kind of a bummer that he didn't make the Pro Bowl, because he's been playing at that type of level since then. So obviously, it's great to see a guy who busts his tail day in and day out and cares so much about his teammates and winning.
Did he say anything to you off camera, behind the scenes, about all this?
No, we talk after every game.
Right.
We talk about our frustrations. We talk about what went well, what went bad. So it's no different than what we talked about after the Chargers game. And that's something that I think that really good teams do is they criticize their play. They criticize the game play, whether it's a blowout win or a blowout loss. They're going to criticize it the same. So that's something that we've had a lot of great dialogue, over the last couple of years, just talking through games. And sometimes it's just, getting off your chest how you feel about the game. And, sometimes that's therapeutic, I guess.
Yeah, I bet. When you refer to the Charger game, you mean your most recent home game in Southern California, right, Adam? Is what you're referring to?
That's right. It's always good to have a home game in some warm weather. We don't get a lot of those.
I bet not. It's amazing how many Norsemen and women showed up this past weekend, huh?
Yeah, we knew going into the game that there was going to be a lot of fans, but it over-exceeded our expectations. That was 75% full. I mean, if you just looked at behind our bench, I don't think there was one Charger fan behind us. So it was pretty cool. What a great atmosphere. It's definitely a different feel in that environment. Smaller stadium and then having that many home fans. It was definitely a weird atmosphere, but really cool.
Well, it was the second time, Adam Thielen here on the Rich Eisen Show. That game for you, it was the second time in 3 weeks in which Dalvin Cook had to leave with a shoulder injury. What can you inform us best you can about his status or his shoulder and the way it can maybe hold up in a game? I'm sure that Green Bay is going to be gunning for it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been trying to figure that out myself. Obviously, would love to have him on the field and the type of player he is and the season he's having. He's a big piece to our offense, probably the biggest piece to our offense. So, we're hoping he can get back out there and play. And we know he's a tough kid, and he's going to do whatever it takes to get out there. And we're hoping, like I said, that he's out there and helping this team win.
And how has his production changed the offense, Adam?
I think it's so many different ways. It makes defenses play us differently. It makes them have to respect both the pass game and the run game. And I think there's been some loaded boxes and things like that, so it's made it tough for him. But as a total offense, it's huge and it's huge in our success. And you've seen it this year when he's had success and he's running the ball well. This team's had a lot of success, so we're going to need to move forward.
And you're a perfect person to talk about this rivalry, being born and raised in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, being a Minnesota Stater yourself. What does it mean to play the Green Bay Packers in that great state of Minnesota, Adam?
Well, number one, Minnesota State's in the national championship this week, so go Mavs. Hopefully they can finish that one off. And then, this rivalry, it's something that I grew up going to. My dad usually took me to one game a year, and it was usually the Packer-Viking game. So a lot of history. It was always fun to be tailgating and seeing all the Packer fans and the Vikings fans and seeing the different things that was going on there. So it was pretty fun. So obviously always a great game, whether the teams are good or bad. And just a really fun atmosphere. I can't even wait, to get out there on Monday night and just to feel that atmosphere.
So, is there like a photograph from back in the day? I'm assuming in the Metrodome of you booing the hell out of Favre. Is that what we're talking about here?
There's an interesting story to that. Probably shouldn't even tell it, but
please.
I had when I was very young. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I actually was a Brett Favre fan. And had the Brett Favre jersey going to the Vikings stadium at the Metrodome, and I got harassed so much by Vikings fans that it turned me into a Vikings fan.
Come on!
And that was when I became a Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper fan.
Okay.
And really started going after the Vikings.
Now, again, that's why you're the perfect person to talk about this rivalry, because you hear about Packers, Bears all the time, right? Especially last week. They just played their 200th all-time meeting, playoffs included. Now you're saying 4-year-old Adam Thielen, wearing his Brett Favre number 4 Packers gamer to a game, got harassed as a 4-year-old. That's how this rivalry rolls, and you wound up a Vikings fan. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. I think I remember there was a picture of, the Vikings fans, I don't know, they were burning a Brett Favre jersey or something, and that was what really flipped me. I was like, I don't want to get burned. So flipped over to the good side. But yeah, side. I mean, I think I just really loved the way that Brett Favre played the game, his no-fear mentality, just going out there and slinging it and having fun doing it. So that's probably what drew me to him. But I'm glad I switched over because, watching Chris Carter and Randy Moss, they're probably the biggest reason, Jake Reed, things like that. They're probably the big reason of why I'm where I'm at today.
And crazy things can happen, Adam. As you know, Favre switched over too eventually.
I remember. Trust me. I really enjoyed those few years with him, and he should have been a Super Bowl championship team one of those years, but unfortunately lost at the end there.
Well, Adam, good luck on you bringing a championship there. Really appreciate the time, as always. Enjoy our chats, and let's chat down the road, brother.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Right back at you. Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings, at Thielen19 on Twitter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.